Leah from Island Sun Tarot. Welcome to my November favorites. So before we get started, I wanted to mention first off, some viewers with their own channels had commented on my video, Best Companion Guidebooks, and they really liked the idea. They wanted to do a VR, and I was just so flattered and really excited, actually. So the first video, the first channel is The Curated Shelf. They did a 2021 tarot guidebooks that they've been enjoying so far, and I love the spin on it. The video is great. I'm going to share it below in the comments so that you guys can watch. And then this next channel, I don't want to butcher the name by pronouncing it incorrectly, the first half, but I'm just going to say Earth Power, and I'm going to post it on the screen so you can see. And then I'm going to share their video below. But they did an actual hashtag to my Best Companion Guidebooks. Oh, just so sweet, and I was so happy to watch those. And then I was also getting some really great comments on that video as well. So I'm flattered. So thank you so much for anybody who watched it and commented, and especially to The Curated Shelf and Earth Power for the VRs. And then my VR to Katie Flowers for the only 10 decks, that got a lot of really sweet comments, and I love hearing from people and, you know, chatting about different decks and that sort of thing. So thank you again. All right, let's get started. So let's just do the first two that you're just not going to be surprised, and I'm just going to show quick and just get it over with, right? Okay, so I had the Isis Oracle. I just kind of had like a rough horse month, I guess you could say, with my horse. And so I was just kind of sad. And this was really nurturing and supportive. And I did unbox the Starseed Oracle this month. And I thought when I unboxed it, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna start working with it, but I can't. I don't know if it's just like some sort of weird loyalty to this deck, or I don't know. It just speaks to me and I can't bring myself to use something else. Oh, I love it so much. So yeah, I know you guys are probably tired of me mentioning this, but I'm not even sorry. I just love it so much, and it means so much to me. And it's so helpful. They're just really supportive, very, very nurturing. It has many different qualities to it, but this month that's what it was giving me, and that's exactly what I needed. Next, that will come as no surprise, is the Tarot Vampires by Ian Daniels. So I'm just kind of mopey and sad because of my horse. I'll talk about that at the end, so if you don't want to see the horsey stuff, you don't have to watch it all the way through. But this deck is so fun, and I say this, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It can be very serious and straightforward. And I want to say no beating around the bush, but with that, in its responses and how it reads for me, it can be quite fun and cheeky, and it's a little cheesy, but I love it. And you're probably tired of seeing me mention this deck, but this is another one, just like the Isis Oracle. I can't put it down. I'm in love with it. And this deck definitely improved my mood many a time this month, and I've been relying on it. This is a good dramatic one. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so two quick ones just to say, because those are repeats. These next couple kind of surprised me. So when I'm distraught or I have too much on my mind, I just kind of, well, I have my decks everywhere around the house. So as I walk through the house, I'm kind of feeling like, what's calling to me? What should I use? And sometimes it feels like too much of a choice, or I don't want to dwell on it too much. So normally this is the deck that I turn to, and I have turned to this deck quite a bit this month. This is the Crystal Visions Tarot. So by no means am I calling this deck or the next one easy decks. It's more so that with this one, I have a very, very deep, deep connection with it, and I've had it for quite a while. And so when my head is super cluttered and I'm upset, I'm distraught, I'm flustered, you know, whatever it is, this is that deck that I turn to where Just need some calm, clarity. You know, a reading with no questions after the reading, just straightforward. And this is definitely that deck for me. And it's just, it's always raising its hand and waving at me when it knows that I'm in that like, ugh, I don't want to have to like pick a deck, sit here and hem and haw over it. I just need a deck now. Well, this is the one. It's very gorgeous. I love the colors. The artwork is very beautiful. And it can just be so kind, but also with a little bit of a kick at times. It's not, to me, it's not a hug deck. It is beautiful, but nurturing in a way that can be, you know, straightforward. So, Crystal Visions Tarot. This is published by US Games and it's by Jennifer Galasso. And it's still readily available. The next one that is kind of, you know, moving up in the ranks, kind of a surprise for me, is the Tarot of the Abyss. And this is coming up to that same level for me as the Crystal Visions Tarot. So I have had Crystal Visions for so long that I feel that like familiarity with it and that ease that comes with having had that deck for so long, working with it for so long. This I haven't had for that long, but I'm starting to feel that same way. And I just, oh, I love that feeling of comfort. Backs are gorgeous on this. And this was my first black and white deck. And it was really, really surprised me. I didn't think that I was going to be this in love with it or have this great of a connection so soon. For me, sometimes it takes some time, with the exception of a handful of decks where it was just like instant love at first sight. But yeah, these are just really gorgeous. And like this one, oh, this one's perfect. I love the perspective on some of these cards. Sorry, my hand just like totally shook. So yes, I've really, really been enjoying this. And I had originally purchased it to work with it in the fall, but I had to use it through the summer a bit to kind of get to know it. And I think this is just going to be the next, you know, workhorse for me. The one that's at the front of the pack saying, pick me, pick me. So fun. The art is just so deep on it. So we have Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Turian, and this is published by US Games. The cardstock is lovely. Okay, last but certainly not least, for an animal deck this month, I've been using the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. So I don't know if maybe it was because the pre-orders for the Smoke, Ash, and Embers, the dragon one by them, I'm sorry, it's Stephanie Burrows and the artist is Adam O'Thellers. And oh, I enjoyed all the artwork and all the pictures for that deck. I pre-ordered it. I cannot wait. But this is the only animal deck that I use this month because sometimes I just need that animal energy. Sorry, I show the backs. I know I've showed this before, but I love this forest and I love the animals in it. And oh, see, like this extra card is total teaser for the new deck. Look at that dragon. I love the way that this creator and artist view dragons, and I've always wanted a dragon deck, but I haven't really seen one so far until this one that made me really want it. So I'm super excited. Oh, look at this guy. This deck, it just makes you want to like squeal at the cuteness of some of these animals, but it can be very powerful. And there's no joke. You know, these animals are not joking. It can be a very serious deck, but I just delight in so much of the artwork. Oh, this is beautiful. I know, I'm sorry, I could show them all. So yes, the Oak, Ash, and Thorn Tarot. I tend to always turn to at least one animal deck for the month, and this just happened to be it. And I think this is definitely a year-round deck, at least for me. But there are a lot of cards within the deck where the leaves and everything just kind of give you that fall feel as we're sort of rolling into winter. And for us, there is no winter. This is gonna sound awful, but I'm sorry. If it's under 70, I'm cold. So when I got in my car real early one morning, it said it was 65, and I was like, oh, I'm freezing. But that's the only way that we know it's winter. It starts to rain just a little bit more, but during the day it's still hot. So Oak, Ash, and Thorn, it just gives you that fall going into winter vibes. There's also spring coming vibes too, so I love it. Okay, that was all the tarot. I only have one little crystal to share this month because it's just amazing. So this is Burmese Jade. This is a really lovely sphere because it has just so many different colors within it. And for me, jade is really healing, and it's also like purifying, just clarity, utter clarity. And I think because I was like worried about my horse, a little bit upset, maybe slightly stressed out about it all, this just, oh, the energy from this is just like, just let all that negativity go, be positive, everything's gonna be okay. Really lovely piece. I have a few other pieces that are spheres in this size. I just like to sit with it and hold it. Perfect like palm size sphere to sit with in your lap. But I have a couple of really large pieces that I absolutely love and I keep real close to me on my table where I like to sit in my chair, rocking chair, and on my dresser in the bedroom. So a couple large pieces, and then on the kitchen table I have another piece. But there's something about this one this month that just wanted to be close to me. And I was happy to indulge it. So yes, Burmese Jade. It's just so healing and clarifying. Okay, let's talk books before we get into some horsey stuff. So in October, I got a book of the month, which was The X-Hex. I talked about that in my last favorites. The other book that I got, because I had talked about how I thought that if you didn't pick one of their, whatever it was, 4 or 5 books from the month, that you could then pick another book just of their selection and then just have that one as your book of the month. No, that's not how it works. You have to pick one from the month and then you can add one of the old ones. So I have like all these old ones that I want to read, but then as each month comes up, I'm not interested in anything. So it just sits there and I'm just waiting for something to catch my eye. So finally in October, when I ordered the X-Hex, I got Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. So this is one of those booktube made me read it kind of books. I've just seen it talked about so much, and I am so skeptical of science fiction fantasy or just high fantasy that's a single book, because I read so many series where it's either a trilogy or gosh, long series, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. But this was amazing. It had an almost low point about 3/4 of the way through. So it is about a moneylender's daughter, and the moneylender he has no backbone. So he's lent out all his money. They're now poor. They can't afford any medicine for the mother. She's sick. They're starving. And yet he doesn't go and collect anything, and the town just walks all over him. They don't have any intention of paying him back. And the daughter, Miriam, decides one day she's had enough. She goes through all the books, does all the booking, and she starts going around and collecting weekly. So it has sort of a Russian vibe to it, and I really love that influence on this story. So the town feels, quite small, like it's in a forest, wintry setting. And what they lead you to believe is the villain or the scary being that everyone's afraid of is a Sterek. I don't know if that's the correct way that I'm pronouncing it. I'm really sorry. But in my mind, I'm thinking sort of a, icy winter elf vibes. And due to her deciding to take over her father's books, she becomes quite proficient at getting the money back, purchasing new fabric and dresses, and spinning silver, turning silver into gold with how she's able to turn everything around and start making a profit by purchasing other things and selling it for more, etc., etc. So she, Miriam, attracts the attention of some of these ice elves, magical ice elves, right? Oh, it's just such a good book. And about 3/4 of the way through, you get to this point where it's like it's been building to this, let's just say like a duel. And you're so excited, but then suddenly you start off with just 3 characters' points of view, 3 female characters. So the whole book, 3/4 of the way through, 3 different characters, but the chapter doesn't tell you who it is. So you're just like, oh, who are we with now? You start reading like, oh, okay, I know who it is. And then all of a sudden they start giving you other characters and you're like, oh, okay, whatever, next chapter. And then before you know it, you're with one of the main characters' brothers, who I want to say is probably under like 8 years old. And I don't mind that. I've read other series that were purely from the child's point of view, but that child was magical and older, wiser beyond their years, and they could also talk to animals. But this, when it comes to a like major point in the book, I do not want to see it through the 7-year-old's eyes, where everything for the duel, like, oh, he was struck so hard he fell and slid on the floor. And then he compares it to something. Like, oh, I only ever saw, you know, such and such happen, and so fell, and they had a, you know, bump on their head and a headache that lasted for days. And so like each little thing that happened had this like paragraph attached to it. And I was like, oh no, what's happening? How could you do this to me? So I almost had to like force myself through that section. I was like, there better be some redeeming quality because I've made it this far and it's been so good. And yes, there was a redeeming quality. The ending was beautiful and I loved it. So if you're looking for a single book that's fantasy, this was amazing. Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. Next, I read, so I've mentioned these before. It's a Green Rider series. So this is Firebrand by Kristen and Brynn. This is the 6th one in the series. And the 5th one, just mirror site. It really wasn't my favorite, but I love the way she writes and I love the characters so much that I wanted to know what happened. I just didn't really appreciate how the book went about it. I understand how it worked into what happened here, but it was a bit of a, one of the main characters like time traveled forward an extreme amount of time. So then you weren't with all the normal characters for the whole book. So it was, I don't know, kind of rough, but this was amazing. I love these characters and I'm so glad that this author has kept it going for so long. So I do have the 7th one to start on, and this far down in the series, it's kind of hard to talk too much about it without giving too much away, but the Green Riders are a King's Messenger service, and they have a little bit of magic. Each one has a different variant that can do different things depending on the rider, and they're matched with a horse, and just their adventures in this, you know, kingdom, being loyal to their king. And for this, there's sort of that forbidden love that shouldn't happen, but yet you really want it to. So in all these books leading, even in this one, you're just like, gosh, can we just have a moment? Please, just give them a moment. That's all you want for these characters. And in this book, they finally had that moment where the feelings were acknowledged and there was a conversation, and you're like, thank you. That's all I needed. But yes, excellent. I can't wait to read the 7th one. And then, as I had mentioned in my last one, I was doing a reread of a series called The Troy Game. The first one was Hades' Daughter. This is the second one. It's called God's Concubine. So I read the other two first, and I kind of took a break after reading the first one of this. And I thought for sure I would be super excited to pick this one up, but it was a little slow going for me when I started. You're with the same characters. They've kind of, you know, been reborn in a different time. And I don't know, it just didn't have as much gumption as I was hoping that it would. So I do want to read the 7th one of that other series. I don't know if I'll be picking up the 3rd and 4th one as a reread. But again, still excellent for the saga that it's going through. But it's very interesting because one of the characters that's been, well, technically 2 of the characters that had been reborn didn't remember their past life. But all the other characters did. So very interesting perspective, but it was still a really good read. I love her writing, so it's by Sarah Douglas. Okay, so quickly, some horsey-like things. So I know I had mentioned that I was waiting on some ribbons from the summer series that I competed in, so I do have May, June, July up there, and I had gotten 2nd place for all the months of the series, so this is for August, just matches the others, but I just think it's so pretty. I love this sort of metallic. So then getting 2nd place for all 4 months, somehow, some way. Got champion for the whole series. So I was waiting for this ribbon and it turned out so pretty. Look at the little stars on the white. But yes, it's just so cute. So I really want to take pictures of my horse with these. And I was telling my boyfriend, oh, I think I should do like a fishing wire or a fishing line necklace, and I can hang all the ribbons on it and take some pictures with him, and I can hold this bigger one. And he was like, no, you can't hold it. It has to go on the necklace. Those are his. He won those. And he's right. It was, 90% of the horse, right? And my poor horse, he had such a rough month. He got his poor leg, well, 2 different legs on 2 different occasions, caught in the hot wire, and the wire just totally cut him, dug in really deep. I was so sad and so upset. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to compete for the November show that they just started doing a monthly jumper class, and he healed up and he felt great. I schooled him for it, just barely, minimal prep, and recorded the course, and he scored a lovely 83.5, which got me 3rd place overall out of about, I think it was either 14 or 15 people. So I'm just so proud. He did so good. And very little to no prep. And I had ridden him to the beach a couple times to kind of soak his legs for those wire cuts. And I'm just so proud of him. He really just jumped his heart out for me. And I had moved up to the next level. And so all the jumps were 2 feet 9 inches. And that is high for him. And 7 years ago, if you would have asked me, I would have told you I'm never jumping a horse ever again, because I had some really bad experiences and crashes, and I had kids, and I was just like, or at the time, 1 baby, and I was just like, it's not worth it anymore. Well, this horse has, given me everything that I didn't know I needed, and he's just been great. So I'll post a couple pictures of him because I just love him so much, and I'm sorry, I just have to include a little bit of horsey stuff in these monthly favorites because I just couldn't not include it because it's a big part of my day-to-day besides tarot and oracle. All right, so I think that's it. Wow, so I'm really excited for December and the month of Christmas. We've got all the decorations up. My kids are all excited. And I love this time of the year, and I love baking and all of it, right? But I do have planned for December, I'm finally getting around to recording a VR to Kelly from the Truth and Story, the 10 Pieces of My Soul decks. I had mentioned that in my VR to Katie Flowers, the only 10 decks, because I felt like it was very different and I wanted to show both, right? So look forward to that. Should be up in the next 2 or 3 days. And I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please share in the comments below any decks that you've been working with this month or whatever you've been loving. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.